I'm blaming Gary for this one. We were at the chicken festival last year, and I got brave enough to actually tell a whole story instead of just a quip. And Gary, after I got all done, he goes, "You know what? You need to work on something serious sometime." And uh, and I was like, "Okay, the challenge is on." And then it came into my head. I had to talk about my grandmother, who I had lived with for 3 years. And this is called because he put this he sowed the seed. This is called Goodbye Peppy. Goodbye Peppy. Uh, I was I did not know at the time it was the last words I would hear my grandmother say. Uh, Grandmother Micham Rose, middle name, originally Rodusky, born of German immigrants that came over here. She was born in the United States in Michigan in Good Hope. Polish German, a big woman, and a farm girl for sure. And she, on that day when she said goodbye, Peppy, she was talking to her little parakeet. She always had a parakeet, and I remember them singing all the time. I had the blessing of being able to live with her for 3 years due to some family issues and stuff. But it was a great 3 years. And when she said goodbye, Peppy, I was not aware or had not been around the world enough to realize what she was saying. She walked out of the house on her own power. It was a sunny day. It was in the fall. We can't agree. I've been trying to figure out who it was that drove her to the hospital. But like I said, I had no idea that she was on her way, and she knew that she was, probably not coming home. And or I would have gone down there. But yeah, Grandma. I'll just draw a picture for you. Hairnet, stockings didn't quite make it to the bottom of her cloth cotton dress that she probably made. Glasses, bigger than probably what she needed, but worked well for her. Um, stout woman. We she had a house that was large, except for the fact that they ate up about 800 square feet by putting an apartment in the back of it. And if somebody in your family or a relative or a friend had not stayed in that apartment at one time or another, then they actually never did live in Traverse City, Michigan. She rented to just about everybody. Uh, I remember growing up as a little kid, helping her with. Does anybody know what an iron right is? She would, for extra money, an iron right was a rolling device that you would put sheets through and spray starch on it. Yeah, and I don't know why they starched the sheet so stiff, but I never stuck my fingers in it. I was a pretty little kid like that. I was born in 1960, and I remember that we lived in that apartment too that I was talking about, and I would help Grandma with the laundry every now and then. She was a tough woman. She come out of 13 children. She had 13 siblings. Mom, our great great grandmother, passed away early, leaving my grandfather to watch those children. They lived in a place called it was above a place called Dean's, and it was like Walmart before Walmart was even thought about. It had everything you ever wanted to, and they lived above there. And her father couldn't, her great great grandfather couldn't take care of her, so kind of like a third world thing, she ended up marrying an older man when she was 16 years old, and moving out to a place called Manitou, Sleeping Bear Sand Dunes in northern Michigan, the North and South Manitou. She lived on an island at a logging camp when she was only 16 years old. I asked her one time, I said, Grandma, how long have you worn glasses for? And she was known to get uppity, and she wouldn't parse words, and she said, blip, blip, blip. I walked into the bathroom, and that blip, blip, blip was making bathtub gin, and it burned my eyes. And so that's how Grandma was. She would, like I said, she wouldn't parse words. She would just go straight for the throat, and she would do things like we went to St. Francis. She was Catholic. a place called Cedar in northern Michigan. She lived there for a while. And there was an incident that Nancee and I lived back in Michigan, in Northport, which is a peninsula that sticks 30 miles out into the Lake Michigan, and where you can see the Manitous. And Nancee, well, I was reading a book about a minister that was on trial for a nun disappeared, and they found the bones later in the bottom of the church, and the priest was already gone, and they got pinned on somebody else. And I'm reading this book, and Nancee says, that sounds like a play I was in. It's called The Runner Stumbles, we found out. And I couldn't wait to talk to Grandma about this play that my wife was in, that we couldn't agree on all the facts. So we asked Grandma, and of course Grandma said, we don't talk about that. Everybody in the family was involved one way or another, so we just didn't talk about that. First time Nancee got to meet Grandma, we was in the living room, and she was going to go get pictures, and she's walking by us. We're sitting in a love seat, and very first time Nancee met my grandma. And she's walking by, and as sometimes people do, she passed wind and took another step and said, them damn shoes. That was my wife's introduction to my grandmother. Grandma Micham would sit on the divan and crochet continuously. And she did she could just crochet the smallest little tiny little holes. While I would sit there, and I didn't really like it, but I would sit and watch. When I was living with her, I would sit and, well, even before that, sit and watch Lawrence Welk with her while she was knitting, and they were clicking, and we'd watch Bobby and Sissy dancing, and it was like she was dancing with them, and she was making those little circles. And and as she got older, the circles got bigger and her eyesight got worse, and you could tell by looking at the doilies at what time in her life she was probably making them. She had them hanging all over on drying boards with the little nails, and in the house that she lived in for years. Um, yeah, and as we lived there for a while, for a year, and as she was getting older, and she never really did fail. Uh, she just kind of just kind of took it on it. She had a rough life with the kids too, but she was always helping. She was always doing things for other people, and we were working in the garage one winter, 20 degrees out. Nancee and I were working on a Volkswagen camper van, putting a motor back in it for traveling to come out here to the Ozarks. And Grandma kind of come out, and she tried to shove $10 in my hand, and I didn't want to take it. And she started crying and said, "You need it." She stuck it in my hand, and I would always remember that. We went to visit. Oh, went to visit another toward the end of the time that we were staying there, and walked into the house, and Grandma says, my cuckoo, she had a cuckoo clock, like a German style cuckoo clock, where they come out and they do the dancing and around and singing, and they go back into the thing. She said, my cuckoo clock quit working. Can you do something about it? I think it needs to be cleaned. I said, sure, I can clean your clock, no problem at all, Grandma. And so I took it down and took it apart, and there wasn't nothing, just a whole bunch of dust and everything, and put it back up on the wall. And I think about 2 weeks went by was when we were at the house, and she said to Peppy goodbye. And again, like I'm going to say, I didn't understand it at the time, and so she passed away. Then a couple of years go by. We move out here to the Ozarks, and I was telling the friends that we play music with at Silver Dollar City about that incident, and and it's an old wives' tale. Maybe some of you know this, maybe some of you don't. But cleaning somebody's clock does not necessarily mean beating them up. And this is what we found out. It's an omen. You're not supposed to clean somebody's clock, because somebody in the house will pass away. and that's what they believe here in the Ozarks, and then maybe other places in the country. I'm not sure. I don't if it came from Appalachia, but yeah, they kind of filled me in, and it was like now I'm feeling guilty that I cleaned my grandmother's clock. Thanks, thank you. Well, the one who was always there for me, always helping me out of things. Uh, so then a couple of years went by. We would go visit Nancee's grandmother out in Tallahena, Oklahoma. Some of you've probably heard us talking about that in the past. And we went out to visit. But one, I guess it was Thanksgiving or something. We walk in the front door, and Grandma says, "Mike, my clock stopped working. I think you need to clean it." and and we looked at each other and said, "No, Grandma, I think we'll go get you a new one." And so we didn't have to say goodbye to Peppy again. But anyway, Grandma Micham Rodusky, miss you well, and she was there for everybody, all the kids in the family. She outlived half of them, which was she had a tough life, and she managed. As a matter of fact, she was getting her last rites in the front room of the house that she lived in, while some of the kids were talking around the table about the things that they were going to probably get, and it got kind of nasty, and she ended up outliving most of them. So there you go. She was there to help some more, helping hands. My grandmother, Anna Micham Rodusky.